When you think about the future of warfare, high-tech combat,
Yeah.
what's the first image that pops into your head? For me, it's always the really heavy stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
Massive tanks, hypersonic missiles,
Yeah.
these aircraft carriers that are basically floating cities. Big, loud, expensive metal.
That's the Hollywood version for sure. And for a long time, that was the reality. Military power was all about who had the biggest engines, the thickest armor.
Right.
But if you look at the data we have in front of us today, that paradigm is shifting. It's not getting bigger, it's getting smaller, cheaper, and, well, a whole lot smarter.
And that is exactly what we are unpacking today. We aren't looking at some billion-dollar fighter jet. We're doing a deep dive on a piece of tech that can fit in a backpack.
Mm-hmm.
It costs less than a car and has somehow sparked this huge global debate about, well, the future of humanity. We are talking about the STM Kargu-2.
It is a fascinating case study. It really sits right at that intersection of robotics, AI, and kinetic warfare. It forces you to ask, are we already living in the age of autonomous weapons?
So before we get into the nuts and bolts, let's just set the table with our sources. We're pulling pretty heavily from a profile in Autonomous Weapons Watch.
Yeah, that's a database maintained by the Future of Life Institute, FLI. They're the ones who spend a lot of time thinking about how AI might, impact our species.
We also have the manufacturer specs from STM, the company that makes it, and maybe the most important document here.
Yeah.
A report from the UN panel of experts on Libya.
That UN report is it's the smoking gun, or at least it's where the smoke is coming from. We'll get to that.
Exactly. But our mission right now is to figure out what this machine actually is. Because you hear all these headlines, killer robots.
Right.
But we need to separate the confirmed engineering from the sci-fi nightmare scenario.
Exactly. We need to look at what's on paper versus what's being accused in the field.
So let's visualize this thing. If I'm a soldier and I see a Kargu-2 coming towards me, what am I looking at? Is it a plane? A little helicopter?
It's a quadcopter. Visually, it looks deceptively like a high-end consumer drone, the kind a photographer might use.
Oh, really?
Yeah, 4 rotors, a camera gimbal underneath. The dimensions are about 60 by 60 centimeters.
So 2 feet by 2 feet. That's tiny. You could just toss that in the trunk of a car.
Or, and this is the important part, strap it to a soldier's back. The weight is listed at 7.06 kilograms.
7 kilos. That's about 15 pounds. So like carrying, 3 heavy laptops.
Or a very large, very angry cat.
An explosive cat, maybe?
Yeah, an explosive cat. But that weight, that's the key feature. We call it the backpack factor.
The backpack factor, okay.
In traditional warfare, if your squad is pinned down by a sniper, you have to get on the radio, call for air support, wait for a jet.
And that takes time. And a ton of money.
Precisely. A jet costs thousands of dollars a minute to keep in the air. But with the Kargu-2, that air support is decentralized. A single soldier can pull this thing out of a bag and have it in the air in under a minute.
It basically democratizes air power. It's a wild thought. It is. Now, looking at the performance stats here, it says max speed is 72 kilometers per hour.
So about 45 miles per hour. It's not breaking the sound barrier.
No, but it's faster than I can run away from it.
And that's significant because trying to shoot down something the size of a microwave that's zigzagging at you at 45 miles an hour, hitting it with a rifle is incredibly difficult.
Good point. What about endurance? How long can it stay up?
The specs say about 30 minutes with a max range of 5 kilometers.
Huh. That seems short. Compared to a Reaper drone that could loiter for a whole day.
It is short, but the mission is completely different. This isn't for long-range surveillance. This is what we call a loitering munition.
I see that term a lot. Break that down for me. Loitering munition.
It's a hybrid. It's part drone, part missile. You launch it, it flies to a target area, and then it loiters. It circles, it scans, it waits.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Once it finds a target or an operator selects one, it stops being a drone and becomes a missile. It just dives in and detonates.
So it's a one-way ticket.
Generally, yeah. Though, interestingly, if it doesn't find a target, the Kargu-2 can actually return to be recovered. But the design intent, the whole point, is that the vehicle is the weapon.
Okay, so we've got the hardware down. Fast, portable, suicide drone. But who makes this? Is it some, Garage startup?
No, this is big industry. The manufacturer is STM Teknolojileri Mühendislik ve Ticaret. They're a massive Turkish defense contractor. And it's worth noting, Turkey has really emerged as a drone superpower in the last decade.
And the source material mentions the Kargu wasn't always a weapon.
That's right. The original version was designed for reconnaissance, an eye in the sky. Its job was to go up, look over the next hill, tell you where the enemy is, and then come back.
But then came the Kargu-2, the upgrade.
They kept the eyes, but they added teeth, they integrated a warhead, and that's where you get that phrase from the manufacturer, kamikaze-style precision strike.
It's a very vivid term. Kamikaze.
Well, in this context, it just means it's accurate and cost-efficient. Think about the economics. If you use a $100,000 Hellfire missile to take out a $5,000 pickup truck, that's just bad math.
But the Kargu-2 is cheap.
Exactly. It's plastic, carbon fiber, consumer electronics. You can afford to use it on what they call low-value targets.
Yeah.
A machine gun nest, a light vehicle, even a group of personnel. It just lowers the financial bar for using lethal force from the air.
Which brings us to the brain of this thing. Because if it was just a remote-controlled plane with a bomb, we wouldn't be doing a deep dive. The profile from FLI flags some features here that sound like they're straight out of a movie.
This is where it really separates itself from the pack. The specs list 3 specific capabilities that, when you combine them, that totally change the nature of the battlefield.
Okay, let's list them. First one, facial recognition.
Yes. The manufacturer claims the system uses advanced machine learning to classify targets, and that includes the ability to identify faces.
Hang on. Facial recognition on my phone barely works unless I'm holding it perfectly still in good light. Doing that from a drone moving at 45 miles an hour with smoke and dust.
Yeah.
How real is that?
That is the big technical question. The claim is specific identification. The reality might be more about distinguishing human from not human, but even just the ability to lock onto a person autonomously is a huge leap.
The second feature is swarming. I saw a Forbes headline in our research. Turkish military to receive 500 swarming kamikaze drones. 500. That sounds like a plague.
It does. But swarming in military terms is very specific. It's not just a lot of them flying at once. It's about network behavior.
Like a hive mind.
Precisely. In a true swarm, the drones are talking to each other. They're sharing data. So if drone A sees a threat, it alerts drone B. If drone C gets shot down, the rest of the swarm reconfigures its attack pattern to fill that gap.
That sounds incredibly difficult to defend against. You can't just jam one signal because the network is resilient.
That's the whole tactical advantage. You can overwhelm air defenses just by having too many targets moving too intelligently for any human to track.
And the third feature fits right in with that. Embedded and real-time object tracking, detection, and classification.
This is the glue that holds it all together. The drone's onboard computer is constantly analyzing what it sees. It's drawing little digital boxes around everything. That's a truck, that's a tank, that's a person. All in milliseconds.
So why does the combination of these three things, swarming, facial recognition, and tracking, make you nervous?
Because it removes the friction of war. Normally, coordinating an attack takes time. A human has to look at a screen, verify a target, get approval, aim, fire. That delay, that friction, allows for second guessing.
And mercy, maybe.
And mercy
Yeah.
and error correction. But if the machine can identify, track, and coordinate with its peers instantly, the speed of engagement becomes faster than a human can think. And that leads to the biggest question here. Is the human even in charge anymore?
And that's not a hypothetical. This is where we have to talk about Libya, because you can't talk about the Kargu-2 without talking about what happened there.
No, you can't. That's the flashpoint. This is the event that put this specific drone in the headlines.
Set the scene for us. This was in 2020.
March 2020, the second Libyan civil war. You had the Government of National Accord, the GNA, fighting against Khalifa Haftar's forces. A very messy conflict. Lots of foreign tech being tested on the ground.
And into that chaos, a report drops from the UN panel of experts on Libya. We have the text here. And the language is really striking for a UN document.
It's very evocative. They wrote that retreating forces were, and I'm quoting here, hunted down and remotely engaged by the unmanned combat aerial vehicles or the lethal autonomous weapons systems.
Hunted down? That doesn't sound like a remote control operator. That sounds like a predator.
And the report goes even further. It suggests these systems were operating in a highly autonomous mode. The implication, and this is the possible first-use claim that went viral, is that the drones were not connected to a human pilot at the moment of the strike.
So, the human didn't say, kill that specific person in the blue shirt. The human said, go to this area and kill any enemies you find, and the drone just handled the rest.
That's the implication. The report says they were, quote, programmed to attack targets without requiring data connectivity between the operator and the munition.
If that's true, that's a watershed moment. That's the first time an algorithm decided to take a human life without a human checking its work.
It's the crossing of the Rubicon. But, and we have to be really rigorous here, we have conflicting narratives. We have to look at what the manufacturer says.
Right. STM didn't exactly confirm this.
Quite the opposite. They've been very firm in their denial. They have stated repeatedly that the attacks were not fully autonomous.
We checked their website just for this deep dive. As of now, in 2024, they have a prominent section stating missions are fully performed by the operator in line with the man-in-the-loop principle.
Man-in-the-loop. That is the golden rule of Western military ethics right now. It's the shield every defense contractor uses.
Let's unpack that. What does man-in-the-loop actually mean?
It means that no matter how smart the machine gets, a human being must always be the one to authorize lethal force. The drone can fly itself, find a target, lock on, but a human thumb has to press the button to make it go boom.
So we have a he said, she said. The UN says it looked autonomous. The manufacturer says, nope, a human pressed the button. How do we square that?
It's almost impossible to know for sure what code was running on those specific drones in a desert in 2020. But the ambiguity, that's the real problem. And this is where the Future of Life Institute did some great detective work on STM's own marketing materials.
The paper trail. I love this part. It turns out how they sell the drone depends on who they're talking to.
Exactly. It's a tricky balance. You want to tell the generals, look, this thing does everything for you. It's effortless. But you want to tell the lawyers, don't worry, a human is in total control.
So what did their older brochures say?
The FLI found archived materials for earlier versions of the Kargu system that were, let's say, a lot more boastful.
Boastful how?
They listed capabilities like autonomous and precise hit. Just right there. Autonomous hit.
That seems pretty unambiguous.
And they highlighted embedded and real-time object tracking as a feature to specifically reduce the operator's workload. The pitch was the machine does the hard work so you don't have to.
But now the pitch is the human does the work, the machine just helps.
Exactly. The marketing has shifted to match the political climate. But here's the synthesis, and it's maybe the most important takeaway from this whole deep dive. The hardware hasn't changed. The code base for tracking and identification is still there.
It's like a Tesla, right? This car has all the cameras and the computer for full self-driving. Whether you turn it on or not, it's just a software toggle. The capability is baked in.
That is the perfect analogy. The Kargu-2 is capable of autonomy. We know that because they bragged about it. The real question is, in the heat of battle, when communications are jammed or the operator is overwhelmed, is that man-in-the-loop safeguard actually active? Or is it just the setting you can switch off?
That brings up a psychological point, too. Even if the human is in the loop, imagine you're that soldier with a swarm of 20 drones. They're all sending you target alerts in the span of 10 seconds. Are you really making a considered moral decision for each one?
No. You physically can't. You're just clicking OK as fast as you can to clear the queue. You become a rubber stamp for the algorithm.
So you're in the loop, but not meaningfully.
You're just a spectator. And that's how we're not just changing the weapon, we're changing the psychology of the soldier. The human becomes the bottleneck to the machine's efficiency.
And in war, efficiency usually wins.
Which is why this technology is spreading so fast. It's not just Turkey anymore. Nations all over the world are looking at this and thinking, we need that.
So let's bring this deep dive home. Let's recap what we've learned.
Okay. We're looking at the STM Kargu-2. It's a 7-kilo, backpack portable, facial recognizing quadcopter.
It's cheap, it's effective, and it is operational. This isn't a prototype. It's seen combat in Libya and in other places.
And it has advanced AI capabilities built in. Facial recognition, swarming, object tracking.
But it sits right in the middle of this massive tug of war. On one side, you have the UN and ethics group saying this thing hunted people down, and on the other, the manufacturer saying we're always in control.
And that tension isn't going away. As these systems get smaller, cheaper, and smarter, the temptation to just take the human out of the loop, to let the machine run at full speed, that is only going to increase.
It really redefines that backpack factor we started with. It's not just a soldier carrying a bomb. It's a soldier carrying a localized autonomous air force.
And that decentralization of lethal capability, that's what truly defines this new era. The button isn't just in the general's office anymore. The button is everywhere.
I want to leave you, our listener, with a final thought to mull over. We always assume that man-in-the-loop is the safety feature, that humans are the moral compass.
Right. We assume we're the ones preventing total chaos.
But humans panic. Humans get angry. Humans seek revenge. They make mistakes when they're tired. So if you have a machine that follows its code perfectly, never gets tired, never gets angry, never acts out of revenge, is it possible that one day we might actually prefer the robot to pull the trigger?
Or is that lack of a human soul the very thing that makes the violence unbearable?
That's the question that's going to define the next 50 years of warfare.
And I don't think anyone has an answer yet.
Thanks for diving deep with us today. Keep your eyes on the skies, and we'll see you on the next one.